Welcome back. Welcome back to the morning show here on Tobago Updates Television, and thank you so much for staying with us. We begin conversation this morning, but before we head on over, of course, we have the photo of the day. The photo of the day this morning. Can you guess where this photo was taken? Can you guess where this photo was taken? The photo was submitted by Terence Onro. Terence Onro submitted this photo. Can you guess where the photo of the day was taken? Don't forget, you can comment on our Facebook live stream and on our YouTube channel. Let us know where you think this photo was taken, and we will reveal to you at the end of the show. So stay with us right here. All right, it's that time of the morning where we get into the serious discussions, where we have the conversations. As you are aware, we are in election season. The bell has rung, and it is election is going to be held on the 28th of April 2025. That's the general election. And of course, we're going to be talking with the candidates. We're going to be talking with political leaders. And of course, we want to know what is happening, how prepared they are to take on the running of the country, the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. And in studio this morning, we have Miss Aretha Clarke, and she is the Tobago West candidate for the Patriotic Front. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning, ma'am. Good morning.
Right. It's a pleasure to have you with us this morning. And as you know, we're getting ready for election, and you are the representative for Tobago West.
Yes,
for the Patriotic Front. Of course, congratulations for taking on that feat. I know it's no easy feat, putting yourself forward for public office. Before we get into your role there, how did you decide, or how did you accept the challenge of putting yourself forward as a candidate for election?
Well, first to begin with, I was not into politics. I would campaign, I would, jump around. But there was a point where I experienced being victimized. And I said to myself, Aretha, if it is that you are one of the persons who put your finger towards bringing change, bringing new candidates, and they treat you in this particular manner, I said, something has to be done. So then I said, as a social worker, I have to learn to fight. As if I can't fight for myself, I can't fight for no one else. So I reflected. Two things happened. I got evicted by a politician out of my office at once, and then my salary was stopped for 5 months. So I said, but wait, we vote you all in for you to survive, and then you are depriving me of my honest dollar. And I said, no. I said, Aretha, that internally motivated me to say, here, what? Go forward, give it a try, and let people hear who you really are, and let them see that you are the person that likes to stand up for others as well.
Right. Well, what a history, and I'm happy that we have that information as well. The political party that you're affiliated to know, I know that we could choose and decide and select whomever we wish to represent, or whoever we wish to represent us. And so you are a Patriotic Front.
Yes, I am.
Right? That decision too, I'd like to know how you were able to align yourself with that specific political party.
So since about 2022, I would have registered with the party, and I would have been following Michaela. So I would have been seeing, hearing what she's saying. I said, Aretha, you want to go into politics? I said, no. But then I listened to her and I said, you know what? Empowered women empower other women. So I said, when I listened to her, I said, despite of what you went through personally, she has motivated me to say, Aretha, you need to stand up, speak out. So listening to her, monitoring her, watching her on social media, I said, Aretha, it's time for you to come forward to help make a change as well. So that's how I ended up getting. So I called, I emailed. She said, are you sure? I said, yes. And she said, so when I went into the screening, they were quite impressed. I had about an hour and a half of screening. I'm like, aren't they going to finish? But it was fun because they asked me a lot of questions about Tobago, tourism, history, agriculture, food, the economy. So I was able to answer at least all the questions, and they were very pleased with my answering. That is.
So, Ms. Clarke, just tell us, from your perspective, what are some of the burning issues in the Tobago West constituency that you think needs to be addressed that isn't being addressed right now?
Yeah. Well, I will start with employment issues, because many persons are not economically stable because their jobs, they're changing jobs, 3-4 jobs, and employment security, that is in particular, because I've noticed that persons are struggling to make ends meet. When you go to the grocery, you're seeing persons putting back things. I myself sometimes had to put back things on the shelf because cost of living has risen so much. It has pushed persons in a position that it's bringing us down to a lower end in the society. As well as, if you look right in front of the Port Mall here, we have an increase of homelessness. If you notice, a lot of persons are living on the streets, and people often think homelessness is related to drug use. It's not. Sometimes evictions and family issues. So I'm seeing a rise in that as well. I can't disclose where I work, but I work up with the elderly basically, and we are seeing a rise of elder abuse here in Tobago. And that rise is because we're not seeing family unity anymore. So we have seen a division in the community now, and it trickles down to the elderly, because if the elderly is suffering, then our youths are suffering too. Talking about the youths, you're seeing issues of training. Many youths, not everybody can finish secondary school, not everybody can have a degree. So you're seeing many of our youths are lacking that little hands-on skills. No longer we have plumbers, no longer we have little mechanics. We have mechanics, yes, but you're not getting the skilled ones. So I saw that as an issue as well. And there's several others that I could explain and go into, but not too much detail, but go into, yeah.
And how do you see yourself as a candidate? Let's say, for instance, you win the seat. How do you see yourself bringing solution to those issues that you have identified?
To start with, you have to listen to the people. So when you get out there and you listen to what their concerns are, because for instance, when I was coming into the compound here, I was pushing the door. And there was a guy looking like a vagrant, my assumptions, and he said, no, you have to pass around. So you have to start with the people, see where they're at and see what solution, look at other international models, look at what other Caribbean islands are doing to rectify their problem, and then we take it from there. Once I'm elected, I am the type, I like to hit the ground. I'm not really office type person, I'm just simple. So I'm a person of action. So I like to see things happen. It can't happen soon, but once it started, I could help. I like to see things, I will help get it done, move things, that kind of way.
And what are some of the, talking about hitting the ground running, talking to the people, what type of research, what type of evidence have you gathered in terms of, because you have identified some issues that, of course, need attention. What type of research have you already done in terms of looking at international models and international standards and the way other countries might do things to bring that type of resolve to those issues? Have you done any research and gathered your information, and have you been able to say we can apply this model in the local space? Because I know there are cultural issues that might prevent something from happening in one space and happening next. What have you been able to do so far?
So I'll speak on the topic of domestic violence. Our liaison with an international organization, and we are focusing on looking at the correlation of custody-related matters and domestic violence. And research has been done. So currently there's a rapporteur who has put her statement before the United Nations. So when that happens, it will be more or less ratified. Trinidad and Tobago will be able to sign on. And that is to focus on how we protect young women and young girls at an international level. It gives us a chance to merge, to understand that Trinidad and Tobago is not the only country that faces domestic violence issues, and an international issue. So internationally relates with other international bodies. But persons with disabilities have been, I studied at Caville, so I have friends over there, I have organizations affiliated with, and we could bring some of their models to help enhance Tobago's disability population, to improve their lives as well.
Ms. Clarke, so let's say you win the seats and you end up in Parliament. What are some of the agenda items that you would bring to the Parliament to represent the people, not just of Tobago West, but of Tobago, because we know both Tobago East and Tobago West, they generally represent the entirety of Tobago when they're over there in the Parliament. So what are some of the agenda items you want to tackle in your 5-year term as a member of Parliament?
So I like to look at things legislatively. So first with the land tenure issue. There are sections of the law that prohibits us as Tobagonians from acquiring our grandparents' or foreparents' properties. So once those laws are amended, I would like to be part of that amendment, part of that discussion to put we Tobagonians, because in order for us to strive as Tobagonians, we need that land tenure security, and currently many of us don't have it. Many of us are renting. So that's one aspect. Then the proclamation of the Homes for the Aged Act. I have been part of that legislative Reform Committee in 2014, and that act has not been proclaimed as yet. So that is to protect persons in homes for the elderly, and we need to focus on that. Thirdly, I would love to focus on having a legislation, a green paper, white paper on the protection of the elderly in particular, as well as the amendment of the several clauses in that Domestic Violence Act that needs to be amended.
Okay, and I know you spoke about earlier about the breakdown in families that led to the abuse of the elderly and the neglect of the elderly, and well, we know children as well.
That's right.
What do you plan to do to really rebuild the family unit, rebuild that sense of community within Tobago?
Well, to start with, we need to have the youths involved, and looking at we hear the discussion of food card on food card, and I remember long ago when food cards were distributed to the seniors, they were able to feed their children. So we have to either increase the pension, increase salaries, increase any sort of financial areas that we could help, disability, public assistance, pension, so that when persons get a little more income, they could enhance their lives. When it comes to children, we've seen the behaviors are changing, and we need to have more remedial programs. We need to have more changing the quality of how we look at things then and try to improve it now.
Right. And talking about a lot of social issues, of course, because of your background in social work, and of course, you're also talking about legislation.
Yes, please.
The hot topic, or one of the recurring topics, especially for us here in Tobago, is the topic of autonomy. And what is your position where that is concerned, and how would you advocate to ensure that the conversation remains on the table, and not just the conversation, but a decision is taken to further the autonomy for Tobago?
Well, I start with this. Autonomy starts with us, yes, but we need to be liberated. If we are Tobagonians are struggling currently to survive, how can we fight for autonomy? So it is important to build Tobagonians first, stabilize ourselves, stabilize the economy, ensure that we have stable jobs, we have good tourism because people come in and say, but they want autonomy and they can't even help themselves. So to begin with, we have to start on the ground first, move up, and then we can have the discussion of autonomy, as well as we need to have a referendum. That is for us to focus on the people, speak with the people, because we don't want the top-down approach of politicians making the decision as to what autonomy should be. We have to speak with the people on the ground first, hear what their view, what they understand, what is autonomy first, before we could even go any further.
So do you think, based on what you're saying, do you think that we still have to do a lot of education in terms of what autonomy is before we bring back the conversation?
Definitely.
Meaning now that we're going to be pushing back the conversation of autonomy.
In order to go forward, sometimes you have to go back, reflect, and then go forward. Because going forward and you make mistakes, you said, if we had gone to the people and discussed it, then we recognize, you know what, let's reflect. So it's better to go back, 2 steps backward won't hurt you, and then you go forward.
So you raised the issue of us not being able to properly take care of ourselves, and in terms of our socioeconomic standing, a lot of persons socioeconomic standing on the island. And I know the Patriotic Front is putting forward 41 candidates. So let us assume that you win the elections, you form the executive, you form the majority in the parliament. What then would be the plan for the economy of Tobago to bring us up to that level where we could even begin to discuss autonomy?
We have to enhance the tourism first. Develop Scarborough. Everybody's saying develop Scarborough, but if the people in Scarborough are underdeveloped, we can't go any further. We have to look at, yes, we have a nice international airport. How are we attracting flights to come here? So we speak on tourism, but how are we attracting persons to come here? So there are many areas that we have to sit down and focus, think with the people, meet with the business industry, meet with the tourism industry, speak with everyone, and get from there, we know where we are going thereafter. Because we can't make a decision on our own. Because when we do make decisions on our own, there's where we have the economy falling down, this happening. We have to speak with the persons who are affected, and then we go forward thereafter.
All right. And in terms of rallying and getting yourself ready to go to the polls, as I said, April 28th, we have just about a month, about 6 weeks, I would say, before we get to the polls. What is it like in your community, your village, the people who are there to support you, advise you? What is it like there? What is the conversation like? And in terms of your personal self, how do you prepare yourself mentally to get ready to take the polls? Because the answer is either yes, you win, or no, you don't.
Yes.
So how do you prepare yourself mentally for either one of the outcomes?
In life, either you win, as I say, or you lose. If you lose, you move on. You win, you still have to move on. But you have to move on with support. Because moving forward, it will be, it takes a village to raise a child. Now, sometimes I go to my neighbors, I see those boys on the block, I said, I need a little help. And they give me so many ideas. Like one said, we have to boost the agriculture, boost this, boost that. So for me, continue living how I accustomed living, interacting with my fellow neighbors, friends, colleagues, everyone. I will maintain that. Continue being Aretha.
And what if you are, if you are successful, what if you are not successful? Then how do you progress? How do you go on? How do you continue?
Still continue being Aretha, continue advocating, continue helping persons, continue being who I am.
Would you remain in politics?
politics, I may consider THA election if that happens.
All right.
Because I know a lot of times persons tend to fade away from the limelight, from politics when they lose. So it seems as though you're a person that you're doing this for the long haul.
Yes, because I have started my own advocacy years ago when I had my own personal issues. And I remember a colleague in the Patriotic Front telling me, Miss Clarke, I go on to Trinidad, I'm in Trinidad here and people know of you. So I'm like, okay, then it's good that people know of me in the past. They know of me as being a politician, and then they will know of me after whoever I become after that.
Yeah. Well, Miss Clarke, whatever you do and however it ends, we do wish you the very best, and we do hope that you continue to advocate, win, lose or draw,
Yes, please.
and that you are able to represent Trinidad and Tobago, and more so Tobago, in all of your efforts
Thank you very
as
much.
well. Ladies and gentlemen, we've been speaking with Miss Aretha Clarke, and she is the candidate for Tobago West for the Patriotic Front general elections on April 28th. So you want to stay tuned to Tobago Updates Television as we bring you all the information as it relates to the progress leading up to and day of election as well. Did you guess the photo of the day? Were you able to guess the photo of the day today? Did you guess the photo of the day was taken in this is Castara Bay, and I see Miss Clarke snapping her fingers here thinking, yes, I knew it was Castara Bay. How many of you were able to guess it this morning? And of course, the photo was submitted by Terrence Onro, and we say thank you for that photo as well. Ladies and gentlemen, coming up next, and in studio ready to have conversations with us is Tandika Moses, Tobago Cricket Association representative, and we're talking about Dream 11 in studio up next and ready to have that conversation with you. So you want to be here and you want to be a part of it. And of course, if you want to stick around, you have to share the live, share the live, share the live. We'll be right back.